I'm Bambi Francisco with Vader News. One of the most popular free iPhone apps is Pandora. It's a free internet music service that recommends music playlists based on your preferences. Joining me to talk about Pandora is Joe Kennedy, Pandora's CEO. Joe, thank you for joining me.
Great to be here with you, Bambi.
Pandora is going great guns. You did $20 million in revenue last year, and it looks like you're going to double. Tell us about where you see revenue going this quarter and this year.
You know, the first couple of months of this year were a little bumpy. I think advertisers were trying to figure out kind of what their budgets were, but once they figured out their spend, I mean, we've been having a fantastic year in terms of generating ad revenue. We're currently tracking up 80% this quarter versus the same quarter last year, and I think have a decent shot of doubling to $40 million this year.
That's great. Now, what are is it because you're getting more advertisers on board? Is it because CPMs are increasing? What are CPMs on internet radio? And then you can answer the question whether you're just getting more advertisers on board.
Sure. I mean, I think it's really about getting more advertisers. Now, part of it is, as you alluded to, we're now, you know, we have web advertising, we have mobile advertising, we do a small amount of audio advertising. So the platform has broadened in terms of what we offer advertisers. But the single most important thing is just we're getting to the kind of audience scale that makes us attractive to more and more advertisers. We're now about 6.5 million monthly uniques in ComScore. That doesn't count another few million each month on mobile. And so when you have an audience of 9 or 10 million, that begins to be the kind of an audience that an advertiser said, hey, you know, if I'm going to hit my target, I need to be there. And so we're attracting more and more advertisers, and that's the key.
What are the CPMs?
The CPMs, again, because of the platform, you know, mobile, web, audio, I mean, it varies a lot. If I, like, in general, around the $8 to $10 range, but, you know, with quite a bit of variation around them. If you've been to Pandora, you've seen we work a model where we give an advertiser a lot of real estate. You know, ours is not a site where you see 15 banners and buttons simultaneously. You know, we really built our ad model around, at any given moment, the advertiser gets a lot of real estate to engage the consumer. And we think that's really key, because I think in the internet world, a lot of people are focused on impressions, but that's not really what an advertiser buys. An advertiser buys the opportunity to engage with a consumer. And so we really work to have the kind of ad units that give our advertisers the opportunity to engage, to tell their story, to generate an interaction.
Talk about the web then, and how those ads are engaging users, and how do you measure that engagement?
Yeah, in terms of like the core, like if you go to Pandora.com, our core ad unit is to actually let the advertiser kind of surround the experience with their ad. You know, the way I think of it is it's kind of like we give them the inside front cover of the magazine on the web, that kind of real estate to kind of display their brand, their product, their service, whatever. In terms of tracking interaction, like there's all the standard metrics in terms of click-throughs, et cetera. But also a remarkable thing about our story is that many of the advertisers are brand advertisers. They're working upper funnel metrics, kind of awareness of their products, generating fundamental interest and consideration in their products. And so they'll use kind of market research techniques to understand how is the campaign moving awareness for their product, purchase consideration for their product, et cetera. And I think we really excel at helping big brands, the biggest brands in the country, move their upper funnel metrics, you know, more successfully than at virtually any other site on the web.
Are you just advertising right now? How do those ads look like on the web? They're just they're not audio ads.
They're not. We do a very small amount of audio ads. Again, we have to be very careful about preserving the user experience. We do think there's a role for audio ads, particularly as we move more and more into cars, into home, et cetera. But we never envisioned the kind of super heavy audio load that radio, I think, has really made a mistake with over the past, you know, couple decades. So the cornerstone of our advertising is graphic, but it's big graphic. It's not little buttons, it's not little banners, it's not little leaderboards. Again, the way I describe it is, you know, to use the analogy of the magazine world. In magazines, there were always the ads in the back of the magazine were like these little size ads for summer camps and like the neat wine stop polar thing. But what big brands bought in magazine was the inside front cover, the back cover, a lot of real estate to really kind of tell their story. And we give virtually, 2/3 of the screen real estate on Pandora goes to the advertiser, because our tuner is very simple, very efficient. So like to listen to Pandora, you don't need to use lots and lots of real estate. It's a very elegant, simple user interface design. And that allows us to give the advertiser a lot of real estate, and that gives them just more latitude to kind of do their thing.
How often is a user, well, first of all, what time do they listen and watch radio? What times during the day? What time's peak time? And how often do they actually watch while they're listening to music?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of pieces to that puzzle. I think one of the important things about Pandora is that the service, although it's like auditory and benefit, you listen to music, it's very engaging in terms of the opportunity to give a thumbs up, give a thumbs down, skip a song if you don't like it, find out more. What was the name of that song? Can I find out more about that artist? And as a result, people interact with Pandora on average 6 times an hour. And the average session length on Pandora is 3 hours. So we're getting 18 interactions with the website in a typical web session. And those are our opportunities to deliver graphic advertising.
And one last question before we wrap it up and move into our next segment. You mentioned that they have 6 opportunities to touch an ad, they typically do that 6 times within an hour. And we talked about this before, but particularly on a mobile device, well, actually on the web, you're only allowed to skip songs 6 times. And you told me that that was not self-imposed. That's actually something that the industry wants you to do, because they don't want the user to have control. So if it were up to you, you'd probably increase the times a person can skip so you could have more times to serve up an impression.
Maybe, or like skips actually are not, of the 6 interactions, like skips aren't actually that significant. I guess people like the music enough, they don't use the skip button that much. So it's not that material a piece of the story, but that is, that's the deal in internet radio for the licenses that we have, and it's a reasonable deal.
And anything else? Can you do anything else, or what can we expect from Pandora that you will implement to bring people back to look at?
We continue to add functionality. We recently added lyrics just a couple months ago. So, for example, another reason to look is like, oh, I love that song. Like, what were the lyrics to that? I've never actually understood what the lyrics to that songs were. Now you can actually look up lyrics to the song that you're listening to, which is pretty cool. And it gives the user another reason to come back. Okay, Joe. Well, stick around. Thank you for joining me, and stick around for more questions, because we started this interview talking about how well your Pandora iPhone app is doing. So we're going to talk about that and in our next segment. Sounds great. I've been speaking with Joe Kennedy. He is the CEO of Pandora. I'm Bambi Francisco.